Abandoned school bus restoration, full rebuild in POV 1978 yellow bus. It was a cold Tuesday morning when I first spotted her sitting at the far edge of an overgrown salvage yard, half buried under decades of rust, mud, and creeping vines that had slowly swallowed her whole like nature was trying to take back what time had forgotten. She was a 1978 school bus, the classic flat-nose style, painted in what must have once been the brightest shade of yellow imaginable, the kind of yellow that stopped traffic, that made children's eyes light up, that meant something important was coming down the road. But now, standing there looking at her for the first time, all I could see was a hollow, broken shell of something that used to matter. The windshield was cracked in 3 places, the passenger side mirror dangled by a single rusted bolt, the tires had gone completely flat and the rubber had started cracking apart like dried desert mud, and the entire rear bumper had collapsed inward as if the bus had been rear-ended by something massive and then simply abandoned where it sat. I walked around her slowly, running my fingers along the body panels, feeling every dent, every patch of surface rust, every area where the metal had bubbled and flaked away, revealing bare steel underneath that had oxidized into a deep reddish brown. Most people who walked through that salvage yard looked right past her, saw only a dead machine, a lost cause, something that belonged in a crusher. I saw something completely different. I saw a project. I pulled out my phone, called the yard owner, negotiated for 45 minutes, and by noon I had signed the paperwork. She was mine. The real work was about to begin. Getting her off the yard was the first challenge because she hadn't moved under her own power in what the yard owner guessed was close to 18 years. We had to inflate all 6 tires just enough to get her rolling, hook her up to a heavy-duty tow rig, and slowly drag her out from between 2 other wrecks that had almost grown into her over the years. The front left corner of her bumper caught on a piece of scrap metal and I heard a horrible scraping sound that made my stomach drop, but she came free and we got her loaded onto a flatbed without any further drama. I rode in the truck cab watching her in the side mirror the whole drive back to my workshop, and even strapped down on that flatbed she had a presence, a kind of quiet dignity, like she knew something important was about to happen to her. When we unloaded her at the shop and I stood back and looked at her under proper lighting for the first time, the full scale of the restoration hit me all at once. This wasn't going to be a weekend project. This was going to be months of serious, methodical, exhausting, rewarding work. I started with a full assessment, going through every system from front to back, top to bottom, inside and out, documenting everything with photos and notes. The engine was a 318 cubic inch V8, and while it was completely seized and hadn't turned over in years, the block looked structurally sound, which was honestly the best news I could have gotten on day one. The transmission was a 3-speed automatic that was going to need a full rebuild. The brake system was completely shot, every line corroded, the master cylinder cracked, the drums on all 4 corners rusted so badly they'd need to be replaced entirely. The electrical system was a nightmare of melted wires, missing fuses, corroded grounds, and at least 3 different generations of amateur repairs done by people who clearly had no idea what they were doing. The interior had been completely gutted at some point, all the seats were gone, the floor was rotted through in several spots, the headliner had collapsed, and something had been living back there for a long time based on the evidence left behind. I started where every serious restoration has to start, which is the body and frame. Before you can fix anything else, you need to know what you're actually working with structurally, and on a bus that's been sitting outside for nearly 2 decades, there are no guarantees. I spent 3 full days with a pressure washer, degreasers, and wire brushes just cleaning the underframe, getting rid of 18 years of accumulated grime and road filth so I could actually see the metal. The main frame rails were in better shape than I'd feared, with only minor surface rust and no structural compromise. The crossmembers needed attention, 2 of them had rusted through completely and had to be cut out and replaced with fresh steel. I welded in new crossmembers, ground everything smooth, hit the entire underframe with rust converter, let it cure, and then applied 2 coats of chassis black. That underframe looked better than it had probably looked since the bus rolled off the assembly line in 1978. With the frame sorted I moved to the body panels, and this is where things got both deeply satisfying and occasionally maddening. Some of the rust damage was surface level and responded beautifully to grinding and treatment. But along the lower rocker panels on both sides the rust had eaten completely through, leaving ragged holes you could put your fist through. I fabricated patch panels from sheet steel, shaped them to match the original contours, welded them in, ground the welds flush, and sealed everything with filler. The passenger door had been damaged at some point and wouldn't close properly, so I pulled it completely off, straightened the hinge pillars, adjusted the door itself, and reinstalled it until it latched perfectly with a solid, satisfying thunk. Every single surface got media blasted down to bare metal, then etching primer, then filler primer, block sanded through multiple stages until the body was as straight and smooth as the day it was built. Painting a full school bus in a home shop is genuinely one of the most challenging things I've ever attempted. You need to maintain consistent pressure, consistent distance, consistent speed, and you need to keep going because stopping in the middle means visible lines in the finish. I mixed the paint to match the original Federal Standard 13432 school bus yellow, the exact shade mandated by law in 1978, and I sprayed that bus from bumper to bumper in one continuous session that took most of a day and left me completely drained but deeply satisfied when I stepped back and saw that brilliant yellow gleaming under the shop lights. The mechanical rebuild happened in parallel with the bodywork, and every single system got torn down and rebuilt properly. The engine came out on an engine hoist, went to a machine shop for a full rebuild including new pistons, rings, bearings, gaskets, and a valve job, and came back looking and performing like new. The transmission was rebuilt with fresh clutch packs and a new torque converter. Every brake line in the entire bus was replaced with new stainless steel lines, new master cylinder, new wheel cylinders, new drums all around. The entire electrical system was stripped back to bare wire and rebuilt from scratch using a modern wiring harness that I designed myself, properly fused, properly grounded, and properly labeled. The interior transformation was where the personality really came back to life. I laid new steel floor plates over the original framing, insulated the entire interior with spray foam and mass-loaded vinyl, and then built a custom interior that honors the bus's original purpose while making it functional and beautiful. New windows, new lighting, fresh paint on the interior walls in a clean off-white, and a driver's area that looks exactly as it should on a 1978 school bus, with the original style steering wheel, the big round gauges, and that incredible panoramic view through the massive windshield. The day I turned the key for the first time and that rebuilt V8 fired up on the second crank, filling the shop with a deep, healthy rumble that echoed off the walls, I stood there with my hands shaking slightly and felt something I can only describe as pure, uncut satisfaction. She had been forgotten for 18 years and now she was alive again. Every hour of work, every skinned knuckle, every frustrating setback, every moment of doubt had led to this. She rolled out of my shop under her own power, shining in the sunlight in that perfect 1978 school bus yellow, and she looked absolutely magnificent. If you loved watching this journey from abandoned rust to a fully restored 1978 school bus, please take a moment to like this video, share it with anyone who appreciates real restoration work, and subscribe to the channel so you never miss a build. The channel is CarPoint and History, and there is plenty more coming. See you on the next one.